Hello and welcome to Tabletop Oddity, you crazy people. My name is Jay and today I'm going to be talking about the Star Wars Legion meta as it is sort of right now and possibly how it's going to change, or if it does change. Now, a couple of disclaimers before I get onto this. I'm not necessarily the best player in the universe. I'm not necessarily trying to be either. At the UK Nationals, I didn't do very well. I went 0-3. However, I did go to an event yesterday at Element Games, had a great time, and I won 2 and lost 1. And if I'm honest, with a bit of better play on my part, I could have easily have won 3 of those games. Easily. That I don't mean to discredit my opponent there, but if I would have done better, I could have had 3 victories and finished second, I think basically would have been what would have happened. And I'm still angry about myself in the way that I played it, but you know, I'm getting a little bit better. I'm not terrible. I'm probably mid-table. It's probably where I belong and probably where I hope to stay. So just keep that in mind. I'm not like top tier, you know, UK national champion or anything like that. So just keep that in mind. But I think, you know, I've played enough games now to see what the meta is and what's happening. Now, I did make a post after the FFG Nationals talking about how the meta was basically trooper spam. It just made sense. You either ran troopers and speeders or you ran troopers and AT-AT because you couldn't really do too much else. Whereas now we've got like a little bit of extra variety. So since then we've obviously had the scouts commanders for both factions, Boba Fett and Han Solo, and they really affect the game. I think Boba Fett is like the biggest impact, but Han is still obviously appearing in quite a few lists. So yeah, and what we're going to get at the end of this month, well, it's this week, next week, whatever it is, we're going to get the turrets. I personally not expecting the turrets to change too much, but we'll have to wait and see. And then we're moving on to something that is going to change. We're going to have Palpatine, the Royal Guard, and then we'll have Wookiees and Chewbacca, and I think that will be a bigger change, but it'll still be sort of this trooper spam concept. So let's talk about what the best lists are at the minute. Now, another disclaimer, you can win with any list, really, if you play it well and your opponent doesn't play well. I'm not trying to say that your list is bad. Dash is doing very well in the Invader League with Vader. I won 2 games just today with Vader. You know, even though I don't think Vader is the best choice, doesn't mean he's not, like, you can't win with him. And, you know, the ATST is not the best choice, but Nikki won the Element Games event yesterday with an ATST. So, you know, it's keep it with a pinch of salt is what I'm trying to say. But I think the best list in my personal opinion, at the Michigan GT Classic list, Luke, Leia, what they call them, something twins, super twins, I don't know. They are in the Invader League. They have like these funky names. I can't keep up with them. But Luke, Leia, absolute classic. Luke, I think, is the best thing in the game. I still believe that. I've not seen anything to really prove that wrong. What I would say about this list is some people are now perhaps dropping Luke and having Leia and Han. But I think if you take Luke, you almost certainly take Leia. If you take Han, you probably take Leia. There is the once the Chewbacca comes out and stuff like that, there is a list where people are running Leia, Han, and Chewbacca. That makes sense. I think people online are calling that Super Friends, whereas I would like to call that fur, as in fur, like clothes, third wheel, because you know, Han and Leia are married and Chewbacca's furry. Whatever, third wheel. I thought it was a great joke. I told Katie, she looked at me like I was crazy. Anyway, I think this is the best Rebel list, but you know, it's not the only one. But going forward, I think this will only really change once we get Chewbacca. You could possibly whack in some scouts there instead of some fleet troopers. I don't think anybody would complain about that. This is from Impact, Legion Impact. I strongly recommend this site if you want to check out and have a read of some lists. Now I want to go back to, this is what Nikki's running in the Invader League. It's the Via's triple bike list. Pretty obvious and pretty standard. Really good if you know how to fly your speeder bikes. You're going to do a lot of damage there. And yeah, it's a very good list. I think probably the best Imperial list at the minute. The contender for this, the alternative to this that you could run is what Nikki's now running in the Invader League, which is dropping a couple of those troopers and rocking Bubba. That will give you a few different like spicy, I was going to say spicy vegetables, but spicy extras there. But yeah, I think those two are the best lists. But as I said, you can have success with Veers and Bubba. You can have success with just Vader. I ran Vader and Bubba, so you know there's success everywhere. But the one thing you'll notice, apart from, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with the HH12s here on this list. By the way, I didn't know they were here. I think I would just rock the DLTs. But apart from most of these lists these days, I'm possibly going forward, aren't intuitively taking stuff for vehicles. Obviously the Rebels are the weakest to this. They normally just want, if you've got armor, they normally just want to throw a Z6 trooper at it, 6 white dice, pop it at a vehicle and hope you get some crits. Fine. The Imperials, on the other hand, they have impact. Almost everything has impact. DLTs, your speeder bikes, just everything that you want to take, generally at some point along the line has impact. So they're not too concerned about this. So that's, I actually think is the reason why you don't take armor at the minute, is because the Imperials have ways to deal with it. So you don't want to lose in half your games against the Imperials, and because the Rebels aren't taking impact, because they have no impact to get very easily, if you do end up taking, the AT-RTs are still worth it against Rebels, and they're still one of the best things that Rebels have against the Imperials, as long as they can do stuff and maybe get there before they blow up. It basically, it's like a stalemate. The Rebels don't want to take loads of, well, the AT-RTs are still decent, but the Rebels don't want to take an airspeeder because it's not that great, and the Imperials don't want to take an AT-ST because it generally will get blown up by the other Imperials. So you end up with this weird place where like nobody's necessarily on average taking these vehicles. Now, as I said, that doesn't necessarily mean you can't run them and win. Nikki won the Element Games event yesterday with AT-ST. Thomas in the Invader League is doing very well with the double airspeeder list. So it is possible, and I think it's slightly counter to the meta as well, which it favours that list. But on average, you're probably going to have more success with, Veers, Boba, Troopers, Snipers, and Speeders, or, ditch the Snipers and just have the Speeders. That's fine as well. The Snipers haven't really changed too much. They're sort of just cheap activations for whatever faction you like. Whether or not you want to ditch your 3 Speeders and include them, it's up to you. On the Rebel side, yeah, I think you probably do ditch a unit of Troopers to at least have 1 or 2 units in there. But, it's personal taste. And that's where we're at. You basically have these lists where nobody's really taking these armory things. You've got your old list with Veers and Bubba as the main list. You've got Luke and Leia as the main list, but then we've got Han and Leia as a secondary list. And for the Imperials, you probably have either just Veers or Vader and something, or Vader on his own. And yeah, they're fine. I completely understand them. And going forward, what is actually really going to change? I don't think very much with the turrets. They're a little bit weird in that they're not very maneuverable. Obviously, you plant them down and they do a reasonable amount of damage, but they don't necessarily do a shed ton. I'm not sure they're going to get used that much. I'm not 100%. You might see the odd one, because in theory they cover, they act like the Imperial one, for example, covers a weakness that their Imperials have. They're basically like a trooper unit that actually shoots well, which in theory is good. But with the addition of snipers and stuff like that, orbital bombardment, all this kind of stuff, they're still, it's a trooper unit, it's still reasonably expensive. That's very much at risk. So whether or not the turrets really change anything, I personally think not, right? In the Invader League, they're not really getting used that much, because in the Invader League, they actually use stuff that isn't released, which is frustrating for me to comprehend, because I think you now have a 2-tiered system with stuff that's announced versus stuff that's released, and I would just rather play with stuff that's released, just so to keep it all one meta in my head. But I think the turrets probably no. The Rebel one almost certainly not. I don't think it's that great. The Imperial one, I think, yeah, you could throw one in at the expense of a unit. And it wouldn't really matter too much. I don't know if they can claim objectives, which would be really interesting, because there's a few maps where that might, you just put them on an objective and shoot them. Don't know if that's true, so I'm talking out my backside there. I'd actually need to check. Yeah, so I don't think the turrets are necessarily going to change anything. I think Palpatine and the Royal Guard do, Boba was a big change, by the way. Boba for the Imperials really allows, if you're running with Veers and speeders. He's so more maneuverable now. You can pick up objectives with him and stuff like that. Bubba, I think, if you're not running Bubba and you're running Imperials at the minute, I think you're shooting yourself in the foot. He's fantastic. Just with his maneuverability and stuff like that, he doesn't necessarily pump out that much damage in a sense, because he only generally on average will have 4 black dice. But he's so consistent and so threatening, like on the flank, because he's very much independent in that sense. You know, it makes Bubba's a big change. Palpatine, I'm not sure about Palpatine. Some people think he's going to be great, some people don't. I will need to play him to really find out. But I'm very much intrigued in the Royal Guards. They're going to fill the Special Forces slot, so the amount of snipers are going to probably drop. I think they're the Special Forces slot. I think it is, isn't it? Oh, no, it's me. I'm doubting myself, but I'm fairly sure it is. And yeah, multi-wound infantry units, they basically are better infantry units. And if we're having trooper spam, then having better troopers makes sense. And when we get the Wookiees and Chewbacca, yeah, you can either go the Super Friends or the third wheel, as I'm coining it, or you can just run Luke Leia with some Wookiees. Just 1 second. My voice going a bit weird. I was talking all day yesterday. Yeah, Luke Leia, some Wookiees, fine. There are a lot of wounds. They're going to do a job. But then we're still with this trooper spam. What I think we really, really need right now, or what we need to probably to be announced soon, is some decent, cheapish vehicles. So we've got the speeder bikes, which are vehicles without armor. So like the speeder bikes are good, but if you're looking for armor, not really a point. The ATRTs, which don't have, well, are they damaged after 4 wounds? I think it might be. They hit the resilience value. And then you've got your upper end where it's the ATST and the speeders, which are very expensive and a little bit difficult sometimes to get the points back. But in the meta, they're like anti-meta basically. So I would like to see something maybe like 140 points with decent maneuverability and armor. Maybe not that many wounds, maybe like the same as like the ATRT, but you know, maybe a bit more powerful, something like that. Maybe we're looking at a repulsor tank, that kind of thing. So yeah, this is a long video just me talking about the meta. I think right now the meta is in a good place. I don't think it's like the games aren't fun. I think the games are still super fun. I think the game is mostly balanced. Yeah, you know, what I thought might have happened is the commandos. You might have seen full units, but most people are not running full units. They're running just the sniper teams. The saboteurs with the proton charges and all that kind of stuff, they're not really getting manned that much. A full unit of scouts on the Imperial side can decimate a unit if you get them in range 2, because they get 2 black dice each. Very potent. And for the rebels, it's still black dice, but you get to ignore cover and you've got pierce, so alright. However, I think they're not really worth the points over the normal troopers. But you never know. Something like that might change. Yeah, that's a ramble about the meta. I played a few games yesterday. Had a good time. Really fun. It was ran by the Rebel Warriors, I think, who are basically based in Preston, a group in Preston. They sort of took over Element Games and ran different systems. And yeah, I had a great time. A bit annoyed with my last game. I could have played a bit better. The few dice rolls, which I don't want to moan about too much, but like, it's just rolling crits and that, and he was rolling blocks, and I was like, he was rolling crits, and then he was rolling blocks, and I was like, you know, like when you just get a bit salty in the game, and you're like, seriously, I think a few more and I might have like rage quit. It's just been like, right, I concede, I'm going home. Thankfully I didn't. It actually turned it back near the end and it was quite a close game, but yeah, I had a fun time trying to pick up my own competitive level. So even though this video might not make any sense to you if you're a high competitive level, it's just me trying to work things out. Hopefully you enjoyed this video though. I will try and do more organized stuff. I want to maybe have a look at the proper list and we'll break them down. We're not seeing that much variety at the moment because we don't have that much stuff released, but it's just getting better every month. Stuff's coming out every month and we'll see where the meta sort of ends up for, like, you know, sitting. Yeah, if you like this video, do like. If you're not already subscribed, then do subscribe. Thank you all to my Patreons. There'll be a link there if you want to support me there. Thank you very much to them. Thank you very much to you. Have a most beautiful day, and goodbye. Bye.